Snoop Dogg gave the guy a magical laptop. With the laptop, the guy got rich, got a dream job, and even stopped time. But then he almost lost his girlfriend. Hi guys, Avranzet is with you. I noticed that many people only watch my videos until the middle, but in many movies, the most interesting events happen in the second half. So I advise you to watch the video until the end, and also ask you to subscribe to the channel because it's for both of us. I get a boost on the platform, and you get content that you like. Enjoy watching. The main character of the movie is a loser named Alexei. He meets with clients and comes up with an idea to advertise their product. But the idea of the customer turns out to be better than the idea of the specialist. Returning from an unsuccessful meeting, our hero sees several guys trying to make Gagarin out of a dog and decides to intervene. The drooling cosmonaut is grateful to Alexei for canceling the launch of the rocket, but his act was not liked by those who launched the rocket. So they beat up Alexei. After an unequal sparring session, Alexei returns home with a new friend. He meets the landlady in the entrance, and she demands rent. Promising that he will pay the rent soon, he enters the apartment and learns that he has been invited to the finals of a creative competition. If he proves himself, a prestigious company will hire him. After several failures, finally some good news. Just don't miss this chance. Alexei is preparing for tomorrow until late and almost overslept. He takes a friend's car so as not to be late. Arriving at the specified place, Alexei decides to park. An insolent bald driver starts arguing over a parking space, and there he meets Masha for the first time. At first sight, they feel mutual sympathy. The charm loser leaves the bag with the laptop on the ground, and the bald runs over the bag with a car and breaks the laptop. When the contest begins, it turns out that the bald is the deputy director, and his name is Feder, and Masha is the director's daughter. Out of the contestants, the Feder chooses Alexei, but since the laptop is broken, he fails his project presentation, and some of them pass the selection process brilliantly. After another failure, Alexei returns to the apartment and learns that the landlady kicked them out for non-payment of rent. The car was also taken to the impound lot. Having lost their home and car, the friends began to wander around the city with their belongings, and they spend the night in the open air near the lake. But in the morning, for some reason, they wake up in Damon's house. Then Alexei decides to return the dog to its owner, and the owner of the dog turns out to be Snoop Dogg. For saving his pet, Snoop Dogg gives Alexei a magical laptop. In order to get what he wants, Alexei only needs to write about it on his classmates' page. Having received a modern genie in the form of a laptop, Alexei begins to pamper himself. And not just himself. Alexei gives a homeless man a bag full of money. And Alexei also buys himself a luxury mansion, and then he gets a job at this prestigious company to be closer to Masha. But Feder, who dislikes him, trying to humiliate him, gives Alexei a storeroom for his personal office. And the Lord of Laptops quickly changes his office at the expense of other rooms in the office. When Alexei has settled in, Masha comes to him and invites him to a club to celebrate his first day at his new job. But the Feder doesn't like it. To prevent Alexei from going to the club, Feder gives the poor man a lot of work. But Alexei stops time and finishes his work at once. To impress Masha, Alexei makes friends with famous stars using a laptop. One of the stars, Timarty, reads a rap dedicated to his new friend Alexei. As they are having fun, the bald gets jealous of Masha and takes her out of the club. Alexei returns home and tastes an oyster for the first time. The next day, our hero meets his bosses for an important breakfast. They were discussing the sale of the company with questionable people. When Alexei intervenes with his laptop, the bald blabs about the true motives of the mafia. After this unexpected candor, Masha and her father leave, and the mafiosi politely explain to the bald man what will happen to him if he doesn't marry Masha and take possession of the company building. Not wanting to lose his head, Fedor desperately tries to get Masha's consent, but Masha gets fed up with it and flies to New York. Meanwhile, Alexei brings his friend Dimon to his new mansion. Unaware of the magical power of the laptop, Dimon uploads the girl's photo to his classmates, and she begins to appear next to him. But Alexei closes the laptop, and she remains headless. Then the girl is taken to the restroom and put in the bathtub. When a new day begins, Alexei learns that Masha has flown to New York and teleports to the metropolis after her. Alexei quickly finds his beloved and invites her on a date. The lovers have a wonderful time and return to the hotel in the evening. Oops, Daddy's still up. Left alone, Alexei fulfills the dream of his friend Dimon. Dimon loved the famous journalist Ksenia and dreamed of meeting her. When Dimon brings a pizza to order, Ksenia opens the door and they spend the night getting to know each other. Meanwhile, the mafia kidnaps the bald man and shows him that his grave is ready. And if he doesn't make Masha his wife to take possession of the building, his funeral will soon take place. To stay alive, Fedor prepares a marriage ceremony for Masha's return, but Masha doesn't want her children to be bald, so she doesn't agree. But Fedor doesn't want to give up either. He starts to persuade Masha. Then Alexei intervenes in the case to stand up for his beloved. Furious Fedor immediately seizes the opportunity and fires Alexei, but he doesn't know who he's messing with. Alexei goes to his office and uses his laptop to show the bald man where he belongs. After the bald man leaves, all the company's business falls on Alexei's shoulder. To take a break from the company's business, Alexei meets his new star friend and shoots commercials for those clients we saw at the beginning of the movie. When they were working on a music video, Dimon brings them pizza. In the circle of stars and businessmen, Alexei pretends not to know the pizza delivery man. At this time, Fedor somehow sneaks onto the set and steals Alexei's cell phone. He calls Alexei's family and friends to get information about him. Then, from Alexei's phone, he writes to Masha and invites her to the shooting. When Masha arrives, she sees that Alexei is holding the actress' breasts. Masha thought that everything was serious between her and Alexei. When Masha sees Alexei having fun with the actress, she takes offense and immediately leaves. Alexei runs after her to stop her, but Masha doesn't want to hear anything. Even a laptop that has stopped time is powerless in matters of love. Alexei goes to Masha's house to set things right. He leaves the laptop in the car and goes up to Masha's house. At that moment, the bald breaks the car window and takes the laptop. In Classmates, Fedor sees all of Alexei's desires and deletes them. The next day, Alexei comes to his senses in a rented apartment next to an appetizing hostess. After Fedor removed all of Alexei's desires, his life is back to the way it was before, and the landlady, as before, demands rent. Finding his laptop missing, Alexei runs to Snoop Dogg, but he's gone too. Then Alexei runs to Masha to apologize. Masha is offended because Alexei has exchanged her love for wealth. Having lost both love and friends, Alexei wanders the streets not knowing where to go. Unexpectedly, on the road, he finds Snoop Dogg's dog again. Then Alexei goes to the company where he worked and tries to sneak in, but gets an awesome charge of stun gun. For some reason, the security officer takes him to the observation room and leaves him alone. At this time, Fedor tells the mafia all his dirty deeds and how he deceives leads away Masha to Paris. Seizing the opportunity, Alexei records their conversation on a disc. Then another employee enters the room and lets Alexei go, because Alexei also helped him earlier. Alexei goes to his star friend Timothy, but he does not recognize him. Remembering that Timothy always leaves his keys in the car, Alexei steals his Lamborghini and goes to the airport to stop Masha. The news shows that some Alexei has stolen the car of the popular rapper Timothy. Having learned that Alexei is coming after them, Fedor sets fire to the Lamborghini. But luckily Dimon arrives, who does not turn his back on his friends and helps him get to the airport on time. There Alexei gives the disc to Dimon and goes in search of Fedor and Masha. Alexei finds Fedor and takes away his laptop by force. When he was looking for Masha, the operatives detain him. Masha arrives in time and asks them what's going on, and at this time Dimon and the journalist show the video evidence. But unfortunately the disc was damaged. Then Alexei says that there is also a video on the laptop and asks Masha to watch it. The frightened Fedor hits Alexei with a shocker and thus shows that he is hiding something. He is detained by operatives and Masha stays with Alexei and forgives him. After all this, Alexei comes to Snoop Dogg and returns the laptop, and Snoop Dogg offers him another, even more powerful model, but Alexei refuses and takes his repaired one, because now he is with Masha, Dimon with a journalist, Fedor with the mafia who wants to kill him, and the bum buys a mansion with a bonus.
Без башни.